And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Coach's Corner here from Coca's Pizza. Coca's Pizza, we serve it hot. And as always, we are here with the head ball coach of the Canfield Cardinals. Big old smile on your face this week, as well as there should be, Mr. Mike Pavlansky. Coach, how are you?
Doing well, DJ. Thanks for having us out again.
Oh, it's our pleasure. I mean, thanks to the Cocas here in Canfield for always supporting us and Canfield and the community.
Absolutely.
A big win over Howland, and you and I were talking. You got a lot of guys in, a lot of experience.
Right.
But, we were talking about Scotty. He's just seeing holes that, like
Scotty's
he's a matrix.
Scotty's having himself a great year, and he'll be the first to tell you he's having a great year because of the guys in front of him. And that offensive line has really grown up and got Vince Luce back. Which has been a big plus. Santino Coca has done a tremendous job as a 3-year starter up there for us, taking care of all the young guys. We've been moving in and out and getting guys on the same page and moving bodies for Scotty to run through. Really pleased with the way we played, at Howland. We talked about playing to our standard every week, no matter who the opponent is. And, we felt we did that Friday night, or last Thursday night, I should say. And we were able to get a lot of young kids in who don't get a lot of playing time, which I think will benefit them, as they grow into the program.
So you look at what has been done, and you alluded to the couple conversations I want to have tonight. Santino's done such a great job of being a leader, that steadfast rock that you need on that line. People don't realize, I guess, how much it takes and how much leadership up at on the line it takes when you do lose some guys throughout the year like Vince. Talk about the leadership that you've seen that young man grow into throughout the year.
Santino's been a steady player for us since his sophomore year, and he'll be the first to tell you. Nick Bowen really took him underneath his wing. Nick was the only returning starter for us a couple of years ago. We had a bunch of juniors and sophomores around him in that first game over at Poland, and I believe it was 2021. And he saw Nick, how he handled things in the huddle, and he's just doing that this year as the leader of that offensive line. And any football coach will tell you, games are won and lost up front. And if you don't have people up front who are going to move bodies or stop the run game, it's going to be a long night. And, Santino, the kids respect Santino. They elected him a captain for a reason. His work ethic is off the charts. He's a great kid. He's a great teammate. And, just really happy for him that he's having the senior year that he is.
I know you'd like to have Vince the entire year, but when you got Vince Luce back, it was a shot in the arm this team needed.
Absolutely. Everybody's looking forward to that day. It came a little bit sooner than we thought, which was a positive. But when Vince was out, it allowed other guys to step in and get some playing time and grow up. And, so now if we need an extra lineman in the game, we're not going to hesitate to put somebody in who's played a lot of football for us.
When you look at what this team has accomplished, especially in the last few weeks, I mean, you guys are on quite the run right now, heading into Week 10. What have you seen as a coach that maybe – surprised you, excites you, and has you ready for Week 10 and presumably Week 11?
Yeah, I don't think anything surprises you. The one thing we've never tried to do within our program is put limitations on our kids. We lost a great senior class. Yes, we had some injuries early in the year. But don't put limits on the kids. They're out there working their butts off and, trying to get better every day. And so, I remember sitting in the film room. We're 1-3 after the Poland game. And, obviously it was not a great atmosphere. You're going through your Saturday routine of yoga and films and, meetings. And, Coach DiGiacomo, who's been with me the longest here in Canfield since 2005, I believe, he made a comment to the team. He said, listen, he goes, if we continue on the path of getting better, because we really felt we were getting better. We were playing some great teams early on, and certainly we hurt ourselves in a couple of those games. But if we continue to get better and just keep our nose to the grindstone and don't buy into the outside noise, we could end up 6-3. And here we are, Week 10, with an opportunity to do that. Will we end up 6-3? We're going to have to go play a really good game against a very explosive Boardman team who just they're just a step away. Watching them Friday night live, they're just a step away from hitting home runs on most of their offensive plays. Defensively, they get after it. They haven't had the season they wanted to, but, boy, they would want to end up on senior night, taking us to the woodshed and then going into the offseason.
Yeah, and I was just going to ask that. I mean, you've got a Boardman team that's hungry. There's no doubt about that they're hungry, and they're looking for 2024, right?
Yep.
That's what they're looking for right now. But there's nothing that's going to be tastier than a win over their rivals in Week 10.
Absolutely.
how do you keep and especially, I mean, we're part of the problem. Everybody focusing on week 11 right now. How do you stay focused?
We're
on
not
that?
talking about week 11.
Yeah.
You know, if our guys, we talked about that on Monday. If we're talking about week 11, we're going to be sore people Saturday morning, disappointed people Saturday morning, because Borman is a physical group. You know, you start in the backfield with Haas, a great quarterback. Torres is a tremendous running back. Obviously, their best kid is Tomas Andahar, all right? And then on the other side, you've got Aiden Berg and the Soto kid that anytime you put the ball in their hands, you know, you're holding your breath. And, you know, I'm not trying to build up a team that's had a disappointing year. They're good, and they're ready to explode on somebody. I just hope it's not us on Friday night.
As a coach, it has to feel at least nice that you kind of have your own destiny in your own hands from that standpoint. I mean, you can look at all the pundits, you can look at all the match, and I know you study like no other when it comes to that stuff. When you look at things as the playoffs, and we've talked about the 16 teams versus the 12 teams and the 8 stuff like that, how do you kind of explain to your kids how important it is, and whether you go in week 11, you know, just to be there, to have a chip in a chair? What does that mean?
I just obviously it's a great thing for our program. It's a great thing for our senior class. This is the only fourth senior class in the history of Canfield High School that's gone to the playoffs 3 years in a row, and you know, they're proud of that, and we're proud of it. You know, but if you don't concentrate on week 10, you're going to get beat and going in on a sour note to the playoffs. And then once you get to the playoffs, like we talked about last year, in Region 9, there's a great argument in Region 9 for 16 teams. You know, there's no easy games. And, you know, we found that out last year in the first half of the Marlington game, where it was 14-10 at halftime. And the only reason we're not losing is we scored on our last play of the half from the 1-yard line. And we went in at halftime and talked about, you know, not playing to our standard and not looking down the road. And from that point on, last year's team took it 1 week at a time, because if you look at the brackets and you're looking at the next opponent, you're not going to be playing them. You're going to be at home.
I love the thing I think I love most about you, and the greatest quote I've heard from you this year, and you've had some good ones, is we're not going to apologize for winning. I know we've alluded to it before. Like, this is obviously this is a program in Boardman you respect a heck of a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
But you're not going to apologize for sending your guys out there and preparing them for a potential playoff run. You know, you got to win week 10, but you got to put your guys out there and get them the reps and things of that nature, correct?
No doubt. You know, week 10 means a lot to us, you know, on our side of 224, and it means a lot to the Boardman kids. And, you know, we've been fortunate the last few years to come out on top, and, you know, looking to turn that around. We talk about signature wins this week, and, you know, a signature win is different than a win. You know, a win is something that you don't really recall. You might recall the score. You know, we gave the example in our meeting this week. You know, Ohio State beat Maryland. That's not a signature win. Ohio State beating Notre Dame in Notre Dame, they'll talk about that forever. You know, Notre Dame beating USC, okay? They'll talk about forever. Notre Dame beating Central Michigan was not a signature win. It was a win. But there are certain games that if you win, you talk about for the rest of your lives. That's where Boardman's at. They're looking for a signature win Friday night to launch them into an off season and launch their seniors out of here, and they'll talk about that forever. You know, and it can happen if we don't show up and play. And if we show up and play, it still may happen.
Signature wins, state championship aside, what are some of the signature wins you remember?
There's a few of them, obviously. You know, back in 2005, we were playing Bishop Watterson in the second round of the playoffs. And Bishop down at Maslin, it was a great atmosphere. Bishop Watterson had beaten Ursuline that year, had beaten Mooney that year, you know, and who's Canfield. And they came into Maslin, and, you know, we got out of there with a 7-3 win. That's one of the greatest wins, you know, we've ever had around here. And we still talk about that, you know, with our kids. We obviously, when we see the kids from the 05 team, that's one of the first games they bring up. You know, obviously the state title game against Toledo Central Catholic was something they'll bring up, but, you know, we lost the game. But the Bishop Watterson win, when a lot of people didn't think you would win that ball game, absolutely.
When you see those guys from 05, how quickly does it come up?
You know, first you talk about families,
Yep.
jobs, things like that. But then as you get into the conversation, hey, you remember that night down in Maslin where our guys, before the game, they weren't even worried about the game. They were taking pictures with Obi because at that time they had the Tigers still there.
Yep.
And they opened up the cage or opened up the shed where they kept him, and he was in the cage, and they're taking pictures, things like that. And so, you know, that was fun.
All right, we're, pardon me, a couple weeks away from Halloween.
Yeah.
So I got to ask the question, what's your favorite part of Halloween? And what is the best costume you ever had you dressed up in?
Jeez. Favorite part of Halloween, obviously, is candy.
Of course.
Yeah, you get the candy, and that's it. It's just a shame that girls are growing up, and I can't steal their candy.
What was the
That's
go-to? What was the dad tax on you?
I love Snickers.
You're a Snickers guy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Love
a Snickers guy. Okay, the craziest costume. Oh my gosh, my daughters one year convinced me to dress up as a pumpkin.
You dressed as a pumpkin?
Absolutely.
Like a jack-o'-lantern or just a pumpkin?
Just a pumpkin.
Just a pumpkin.
Yeah, just a pumpkin. Those pictures have been destroyed.
I was going to say, I'm going to try to get those pictures. I have a way, but those have been destroyed. Coach, good luck to you.
All right,
Thank you so much
DJ,
for the time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Back after this on YSN.